You did.
That's
you absolutely.
Graves.
You weren't pleased, but you said that you did say that.
I wasn't pleased, but then on the other hand, I see a lot of scaling. I see weak side top. I see a lot of scaling on every single lane. And if you're not going to fight for the starting objectives, what you really want to do is at least fast clear your jungle. Graves is someone who really does that, and then you can come up the jungle very farmed and then impact the map with really good team fighting that you have composed.
Absolutely, and for the record, cause trouble, not a fan of Graves of personal hatred. Rather, but actually, you're completely right. There is a good way of being able to play with the Graves in this game. My only issue is that, of course, X7 are very good in the early game. We've seen the kind of gold leads they get, 3,000 plus at 15 minutes. A lot of that is off the likes of Haru getting things done, and you've got this pretty aggressive top side of the map that can make things happen. And scaling, playing weak side top into X7, yes, they've been a bit sloppy in mid game, but that does sound like a dangerous thing to play towards.
Now, I would like to see, and I would like to keep our eyes on Haru from the side of X7, because if there's one lane you can play through, that is the Aatrox. If you shut down the Ornn, which is technically picked as a weak side top lane that is able to evade a lot of the ganks, maybe X7 would like to pull a very early dive on him and shut him down, getting the Aatrox ahead. But seeing Haru start from the top side of the map and ending up towards the bot, he maybe wants to cover towards his bot side and not care too much about Aatrox. Aatrox is not going to be under too much fire.
True.
As long as he farms and also scales towards the late game, he'll be fine. It was all about, just getting him ahead. But at this point, I think both junglers are most likely going to look to full clear and maybe for Haru, shadow his bot lane to push.
Yeah, exactly. And considering, the Death said, well, realistically, the only easy setup early on would be bot lane. So just being there to cover for your...
MC.
Exactly, as MC is just being really aggressive, but he doesn't get the Gromp, I don't think. And now he's in a bit of trouble. He does indeed have the red buff. The Whimper comes lightning going wide as a problem. Conqueror is stacked. And now come the top laners. It will be a 2v2. MC is in trouble, gets knocked up, but he's still got that red buff. Flash from Jaeger. The Darking Blade does miss. And he gets out of dodge, but that will be flash for flash.
Honestly, that is really, really bad for Jaeger right now because he's playing top lane, the junglers are leaving towards the bot side of the map, and he's flashless versus an Ornn. Let me remind you, Ornn is not necessarily a tank. He's a mage, assassin, marksman, necromancer, priest, feral, whatever you wanted, he is, and he hurts a lot in the early game. Honestly, I would love to see MC do a 180, go towards his Krugs, take them, and then try to maybe gank topside. He's not going to do that again. This would be a move that MC has done in the past. He's really good at scouting and weighing out his situations to pull a gank, but right now he's not necessarily playing a ganking champion. He's playing more of a farming, let's scale to the late game champion, and he is going to take the route to farm and clear his bot side.
I do appreciate the fact that MC kind of proved us both wrong. Went, you know what, never mind the ganks, never mind the farming, I'm going to go for that level 2 invade. And yeah, he does get the Gromp. He's going to move back, start clearing towards his wolves, and maybe have a look at a topside Scuttle Crab, because of course Kasing and Haru have managed to secure bot side control. They're going to head in and get a little bit of control about where MC is right now, and instead they're going to start with this blue buff because might be some trouble.
Again, we mentioned it that the bot lane is going to want to push for the set of X7, which means they're going to be able to aid Haru. Remember, MC does not have flash, so you can abuse that if you want to, but the flash from Nukes...
And Haru had smite, MC did not. The rest of the fight now continues as Haru versus MC at the top side as the duo lanes both trade out. It's Ignite, a piece on both bot laners. They're now going to get out of there, but Kasing gets a final trade that definitely goes in the favor of that Lulu.
It's an Ignite and a Flash Burn for a blue buff on top of Haru, plus a Scuttle Crab, and them harassing continuously MC in his jungle. MC is tragically behind in CS right now. He's 10 CS behind. That equals to 2.5 camps, but also you have the Scuttle Crab in there coming in for Haru. Your bot lane now can very easily push because you've got everything warded towards the bot side of the map, and everything so far is going X7's way.
And serious credit to X7 for punishing MC for his aggression in the early levels. That's the price he pays for being slower to get to his blue buff. And X7, of course, because they got the Lulu for Kasing, they've got the Jinx for Nata, they've got that early shovers. The dash does get kind of interrupted there by Kex. Of course, there is still no flash and the Infernal Chains land, but...
Oh, they're going to pull a dive. This is a huge wave that's been built up by Kex. Remember, Jaeger has lost his flash from that level 1, and he could die here.
He could, well, he's got a massive wave to deal with as well. They're kind of trying to use that tower to block. The tower's not going to work out. MC just about gets out. And that was a cleanly executed dive. Riddle get first blood. MC manages to get something going, considering the last 2 plays hadn't gone his way.
That was very, very, very well played from Kex right there to build up 1.5 wave together with the cannon. Jaeger is on two-thirds of his HP, cannot do much underneath his tower because he doesn't have the flash, and once the smoke screen goes down, lights out, you can't even see where your opponents are coming from. So that was very well executed from the sort of Riddle and also for MC to finish the final hit right there to get the kill for himself. Now, something that MC has been doing continuously is going for that Eclipse, which I don't necessarily agree with, especially since
Come on, it's more fun.
Yeah, especially since you're going for like a hard scaling comp, but here, because you have the Jhin and you have the Cork, you're going to be dishing out a lot of that consistent damage, having that high burst, especially for that mid-game scenario where Graves can 1, 2, 3 and you're dead. I really like the Eclipse here for Graves.
I actually largely agree. It's a bit more burst to join up with the likes of the rockets that might be landing and the rest of it. You can finish up what the rest of your teammates start, and considering there's actually been a little bit more aggression from MC than perhaps we expected, it somewhat plays into that. Of course, Haru's still being able to continually farm, get that advantage there, and X7 has still managed to get them a little bit of a gold lead right now.
So if you look at every single lane, Assassin, Mage, Necromancer, Priest is trying, he misses. So if you look at every single lane for X7 right now, they're all pushing. Top lane has huge waves built up. Mid lane has an entire wave pushing in, and bot lane is pushing as well with Haru shadowing. That means to me that they possibly would like to go for that dragon. They've got the cover from all 3 lanes right now. They're all pushing, and Haru, there you go. He's already started the dragon. None of the Riddle lanes can actually move to contest that. And MC, because he's fallen behind through all of these shenanigans, has to go back to his top side to start clearing again.
And again, I appreciate the fact that X7 have largely done pretty well at responding to what MC has done, right? This is the price you pay for going for that dive, and at least they got something going on as top side. What are you guys spotting?
Haru pinged 3 things. He said, I'm going Raptors to Krugs to bot lane invade.
Here we go.
He pinged 3 things, and the second he pinged the third one in the invade, you saw Nata move into enemy territory and place down a ward.
And now, of course, MC has been spotted towards this top side. They know the bot lane or bot side is free. Of course, unfortunately for Haru, MC has already cleared out that blue side jungle, so not a huge amount for him to gain there. And the game remains relatively even in terms of the gold right now. It's just the lane pressure that is in X7's favor as it stands.
This could also mean that they might want to pull out a tower dive if MC is not around, but due to the fact that they've put down the ward and he has spotted that MC is not around, they still have the timer though on that blue buff. So the second that MC goes towards the bottom of the map to try and take the blue buff, he will be spotted in that ward. This is why Nukes very nicely moves into the jungle. I'm not sure if he sweeped that space right there. He might have. Now his sweeper is going to come up. I don't know if he's going to use it because he's literally TPing on top of the wall that's spotting him. The blue buff's gonna come up, and MC is on the rotation towards the bot side of the map. The junglers are not necessarily in sync right now because Haru has to clear up his top side of the map, whilst MC is going towards the bot side of the map. But what X7 are doing right here is they're going to transition their entire team towards the top side. They're gonna have mid lane pushing the mid lane. You see how the bot lane waves are stuck in the middle, so none of them is pushing, and everyone's going to transition for that Rift Herald fight.
Tempt's Shadow Surge is still just off cooldown. He must have used it off screen at some point. Of course, Nata doesn't have the Super Mega Death Rocket either as it stands according to those indicators. So X7 down a couple ultimates here potentially, which could make this a bit risky. But all the same, slow queue with that package. The hook comes through. That will be the Crescent Guard, but look at that massive Ornn ultimate. Only knocks up Jaeger, but he's having to flash out of this. There comes the package. It leaves Haru in no man's land. Kasing does not have the ultimate, and Riddle punish that attempt at the Rift Herald.
I don't know if you want to take this fight if you're X7. You don't have Lulu ulti right there to keep the Zinzao alive longer. The Graves already has serrated Dirk, which hurts a lot, and the champion is just extremely strong in this part of the early game. Also has level 6. So you see how both the Jhin and the Ornn, if I could draw on the screen right now, that would be perfect. They're closing now both sides of the jungle. Top side river and bot side river. One closed from Curtain Call and the other one closed from the Forge of the...
Call of the Forge Guard.
Call of the
I've got
Forge
you.
Guard,
So
thank you very much.
I was looking at like, what are you saying for Forge? Oh.
One was blocked from a gigantic gold, the other one was blocked from a bunch of bullets, and X7 could actually move nowhere. So I think this was not necessarily the best call they've made so far, and honestly, Riddle are really using that early game lead on the Graves.
And I've also got to call it out, Riddle is a team that has often had one member stand up in a game, but then had other members really fall short when they've not had attention. And Riddle, this game, everybody seems to actually be on a consistent level, and that is such a big deal for this team.
I honestly really love that call you made, because we've had MC pop off on the Rabble, we've had Keks pop off on the Renekton, then other times we have Fatty-chan
Massively,
pop
yeah.
off, you know, on the Dravens and such, but it's never been, you know, a collective effort. It's always been one person having to 1v9. So far in this early game, Riddle are holding their own against one of the best teams that we arguably have in the NLC, in the likes of X7. Now, for X7, I honestly thought that this was a very, very dodgy call to make right there.
It's quite aggressive.
Eager to try and bite down on a Graves that is going towards the lethality route. I've said plenty of times over and over again how Serrated Dirk is one of the dirtiest items in the early game, because it is so strong for the money that it costs. And talking about Serrated Dirk, Eclipse already completed. If MC is around the area, you definitely do not want to be taking any fights.
Absolutely not. And I call it again, X7 didn't have the Shadow Surge at the beginning of the fight, didn't have the Super Mega Death Rocket at that fight. Kasing wasn't level 6. Like, those are so many important ultimates to consider team fighting. And now Keks going down to ward might be in a spot of bother, but Haru is roaming away, but MC is around with that Herald, and that could actually put Jaeger in a spot of bother. Does avoid the Searing Charge. It's still going to get hit, and now the turnaround's beginning to come around. Haru can start jumping in. He has the Audacious Charge as knockups, and Jaeger gets that kill. Next 7 now on the board. They even up the gold.
Honestly, Keks and MC had the right idea, but they didn't necessarily want to take the fight versus the Aatrox. There's no anti-healing for the side of Riddle either. So once the Aatrox goes into... Oh, there is actually. There's the Bramble.
He just bought it, so he didn't have it in that fight.
Okay, he didn't have it. Okay, there was no anti-healing, so the second Aatrox goes into ultimate is a really tough target to take down, especially having Haru there with his ultimate up and available. This is definitely a fight you do not want to take, no matter how this assassin that they have in the top lane in the likes of the Ornn is strong in the early game. Leave it questionable right there, because I do think MC is strong enough to put down a bunch of damage, but the call was made to back off of this one, lose Keks and leave it at that. But of course, because MC shows his face on the top side of the map, X7 have the push every time in the top lane, and they're going to secure themselves the second dragon, which means that about on the 22nd minute mark, we're going to be talking Soul if X7 are able to secure the next dragon.
Of course, it is a Mountain Soul, not necessarily the best for X7. Everyone can be building that many resistances.
You know what? I think it's extremely strong against the Corki.
You're not wrong. You know what? I take that back, and I see exactly what you mean. I was going to say that, of course, if Ornn or Nautilus get a hold of the Mountain Cell, they'll be feeling very happy with themselves. But
cashes in on that. He doesn't.
Oh, he didn't quite get enough. Of course, didn't get the auto. Wasn't quite in range.
Graves.
But Graves gets money, and he's okay about that, considering snowballing. And
change my mind.
Change your mind. Exactly.
Listen and not so.
Yeah, and of course, you know, while yourself, you're not massive, you have your issues with Graves jungle. MC is playing it pretty well thus far, has got himself some more gold. He's 1-0-1, feeling like he can be in a position to do some damage against the relatively squishy members of X7. Of course, X7, though, just going to see if they can get a bit more shove in here. But
the second he walks out, he will be spotted, though. There's
he's
a
on a
control
ward
ward in the bush as well. The second they see that, Kasing and Nata, they're like, whoop, we're out of here.
I want this.
Haru is also right behind them just in case. They're going to push one more wave and most likely take it back to reset. Now, a little bit of a look in the top lane as well, because while all of this has been going on, Jaeger has been pushing wave after wave after wave. He's built up himself a 20 gold lead, and he's taken his first tower plate as well right before the tower plates are falling. So this Aatrox that scales into the late game is 700 gold in the lead right now. Thank you so much, observers. And he's gonna be able to get his items earlier on, which means that the scaling factor on the side of X7 is starting to come in. We're looking at the Jinx and we're looking at the Aatrox. These are the two hard scaling champions in the side of X7. When we look towards Riddle side, of course, everybody's familiar with the Corki. All the damage he's able to dish out, whether he goes towards the Luden's Echo route or the Shield Bow. From what I'm seeing right here, it is going to be the Luden's Echo route. It looks like that one. And of course, MC on the Graves is also a very hard scaling champion.
Absolutely, and a lot of this game, a lot of this early game has kind of all been a lot of decisions, a lot of dominoes that came off that early invade topside. The Graves versus Jinzhao play has been really interesting to follow, bluntly, because you saw that invade kind of go wrong, and then they re-invade to X7 on the bot side, and then there's the gank top, and that's been really interesting to follow what these junglers have made happen.
This is the first time that I see Haru trying his hardest to try and figure out what the opponent jungler is doing. And this is so important because Haru, as a jungler, is someone who's very proactive, someone who's going to create opportunities and you're going to have to chase him. MC getting the first kill up in the top lane and getting ahead item-wise, getting ahead CS-wise, means that Haru has always been one step behind when it comes to counter-ganking. But when it comes to objectives, he's realized very well. Bless.
M&S, eat your heart out. Solo kills there, and actually on the other side though, MC gets a hold of Nata somehow, some way, and that means that with flash and heal blown by Nata, it's still a 1-for-1 across the map.
Okay, so Vex cannot necessarily do that in the late game, but in the early game with Electrocute and the extra damage that she gets from the rune can actually melt you down. Obviously for Slowkey right there, it was a little bit of a misjudgment of the situation. He had a stopwatch available, he had a flash available, he had a bunch of ways he could outplay that scenario, was a little bit slow, gonna give his life away over to Tempt.
So just the ward over and smoke screen into evisceration. The curtains get called, and Nata, who has to take the final bow here,
Doesn't even have ult.
Doesn't need it. And
yeah. We expected more proactiveness when it comes to ganks from X7. They've got a bunch of setup with the Vex, they've got a bunch of setup with the Jinzhao and the Aatrox. We're like, wow, topside is going to be FPS that we're going to be seeing ganks, we're going to be seeing them pushing the Ornn, we're going to be seeing them pushing possibly the Corki in the mid lane or taking a flash. It hasn't been the case. It's all been about the Graves. I want these Graves in my solo queue game because MC is everywhere. I don't care if he gets solo turret platings, as long as he gets to break this game open, which he's doing right now. He's letting Haru go towards the objectives because they're falling behind in gold because of the proactiveness of MC.
Who are you and what have you done with Trouble? Because I'm hearing praise for a Graves jungle right now, and I feel I must have missed her.
I've lost myself.
Yeah, like the little bit of disappointment from Trouble about herself.
The champion look good, okay?
I know, here you go. The hats off to MC. Someone throw that clip to him because Trouble's hatred of Graves jungle is somewhat legendary within the casting community. X7, though, with the second Herald, will get a charge into mid lane. However, that is a package around the reason they're doing this, of course, is there'll be a Mountain Drake spawning in, well, now, actually, and that would be Soul Point.
Yesterday.
Yeah, in about now. X7 have control on the river, but remember, Slowkey with the package is a terror. Riddle have ultimates, they have a lot of damage, and I get to be a little bit afraid.
Now remember, Riddle were split up into two groups and they were able to cut X7 off in half, but Slowkey does have the package and he can do the same. The Ornn has been rung.
It's a call to war. Kex goes in, but doesn't get the knock-up, and now Jaeger's getting to be destructive in the backline as Tempt finds a Shadow Surge. He can find a reset. The package to try and turn around, but Slowkey is alone. Nata so low, burns down, but so is Slowkey. He's dead. It's a 1-for-2 right now. Haru gets it as well. He might have been taking a little bit of a backseat in the early game, but he gets a double kill. He'll get another kill onto Tempt as well, and that is a world champion for you.
Oh, that was beautifully done by X7. Remember, the last fight they lost in the river was because Riddle were able to attack them from both sides and pincer them in. This time, X7 stood up against them as a complete unit. Now with the Lulu ultimates and the Lulu shield, the gold drinker up and available for Haru. He survives so much longer in the front line. And of course, Tempt.
No.
Oh.
That's a lot of damage. There's Tempt over the wall. He can't really help. There's a heal from MC, but I don't think he can beat Jaeger at this point. Down that level, and yes, you're a bit tanky. That's a depth charge coming out. They might be trying to turn this around, but Tempt is going to be around. I'm not sure you want this, especially if you missed that. But here's the rest of Riddle, who've teleported in. It was a double teleport. Tempt now trying to get out, doing a lot of damage. They can't quite do it. Jaeger, with no ultimate, going to do something, but Nata, now excited, can start running over everybody. Jaeger's here as well, and Riddle tried for the double teleport, instead being punished. Polymorph comes through, and Kasing claims the Forge Guard.
What was that? Riddle over chase for absolutely no reason. They see Jaeger in the jungle, they're like, ha, this guy's gonna go down. He's got a 200 gold bounty as well. We're gonna cast that in. You have no reason to do that because now you have two pushing lanes for the side of X7. You're gonna lose total control of your jungle and you're gonna be scared to enter. Jaeger pushing the top lane. Their bot lane is pushing the mid lane and now they're gonna empty your jungle as well. Riddle lost so much out of just a very greedy play.
And in a matter of 2 plays, here's the second one. Riddle have just lost complete control of this game. Look at this.
MC gets caught right here, but he does have the chance to run away. He does it here. He's out, but Nukes pulls the trigger. He's like, we want him. Let's go. Ornn and Corki have both pulled teleports right there. And even though Tempt is really, really low, that shield with the passive fear wins them enough time together with the Ignite to get Kasing and Nata into the play. And once Nata gets the first kill, he gets the second one, he gets the third one as well. That Jinx got very, very excited, even though Kasing yoinked the last kill right there. And overall, X7 must be rubbing their hands together because that was completely gifted to them.
And this is a bit of an inversion from what we've seen from X7, bluntly. It's been strong early games into some looser mid games, I think it's fair to say. And this time, it's X7 who had to play a little slower in the early game. We're on the back foot, and now it's 2 plays in a row that were pretty damn clean.
Let's reiterate a little bit the way that Riddle can play the fight that they can win. Because the way they demonstrated that on their first fight on the top side river around the Rift Herald was perfect. Ornn coming in with the Ornn Horn from one side of the river and then the Jhin pulling the curtain call from the other side of the river does not allow X7 any room to bunch up in the middle because they have been pincered, they've been sandwiched. Now, once the Luden Seeker is complete on slow queue, all of these rockets are going to hurt. So put down a lot of that poke with the Corki, then pull the trigger with the 2 long range, one engage ultimate from the Ornn and the other one peeling ultimate with the Jhin from the other side, and then you've got a pretty good space to play if you are MC on that Graves together with the Nautilus. Now going one by one in, when Ornn doesn't have an ultimate, when Corki doesn't have a package, it is a little bit of an over-eager move. And again, we talked about the fact that this greedy fight cost them a lot of vision in the jungle. Now you see they cannot even enter it.
It's so difficult. They're down about 4,000 gold at this point. Haru's guarding the Raptors at the entrance to the Raptors even. As a Shadow Surge, they're going and Nukes is just gone. They might be able to chase a bit further. Haru is there. He's definitely diving in, but he's actually taking turret shots. Does have Lulu Whimsy though to speed him back up. This might cost them the tier 2. But remember, it's a minute until Mountain Soul. Nukes is not around. He's the one with all the wards. They're not going to get control of the river or anything at this point. They're down the man as well, and they're shoved up by their tier 2.
Remember what we said, 22 minutes in, this is going to be a very early Soul. Ornn is around, he's going to pull the horn.
They're going to try and get something. Tempt's going to get knocked up. He's still squishy. It's just gone. Never mind that. I was thinking he might survive with the wild growth, but he's dead. And now, actually, Riddle have a moment to maybe get in to sort out this Mountain Soul pit.
X7 overextend right there. The only thing that is going to cost them is another 5 minutes on the clock until they can contest for that soul point again. It's going to give Riddle the chance to get into the jungle, put down their vision, and take control of the river. And again, Tempt a little bit too far forward. There's no Lulu ultimate. He doesn't have a flash. He had just expended his ultimate to get the pick onto the support. And all in all, there was nothing that was gained from that one play other than each team losing one player. The only thing that was gained for the side of Riddle was them being able again to move into that river, get some vision down. X7 though are back up on the table. Tempt is just gonna leave the base right now. Is he gonna be there and ready to fight? The ultimate is very long range.
Yeah, the problem is Riddle have burned so many ultimates to kill Tempt, and Tempt is back now, and the Mountain Soul's alive. Can MC secure the dragon before Haru gets in? It will be a smite fight, and it's a steal by MC. Of course it is. He's the main character. It's in the initials, and now they need to see whether they can get out of here. And they've got to work away from that. Slow queue is eviscerated, brought down by the Darkin Blade. It's in the quotes from Aatrox. He's not just an enemy, he's the enemy. MC, though, forced to flee in terror. Tempt trying to kill him. Won't quite manage it until he lets the Krugs do it for him. Jaeger on the other side brings down the rest of the team. He's the Titan in this one. Brutal stuff from the top laner.
Yeah, it took them way too long to get control of that bot side river, and at the end of the day, they just didn't have much in their tank to try and contest that. You will... Oh, hello. You will see that when we, of course, have the replay, yes?
Indeed. We will have a replay, but right now we've got an in-game pause to deal with, which means we are looking at us for a second. We have a second to talk about the state of the game, namely pretty X7 favored. Let's be real.
I just feel like both teams have done such uncharacteristic mistakes where they're getting too over-eager to punish. I think one of the things that has surprised us so far.
Is it uncharacteristic for X7 in the mid game to make those mistakes over the last couple games?
Honestly, these types of mistakes, yeah.
Okay.
I've never seen them overextend on a tier 2 mid lane tower.
It's been the side lanes, yeah.
Especially when you don't have a wave to play with. It's very uncharacteristic for X7 to keep pushing these advantages, if you will. And we've seen Kasink over and over again and say, you know what, sometimes we play a little bit too loose. If you feel like the team that we're playing against is weaker than us on paper, we'll play a little bit more loose. We'll have a little bit of a happy game. And this has beat them a few times, you know? On the other side, though, for Riddle, I just think it's like a pleasant surprise to see such an aggressive, full of excitement early game, especially when it comes from someone who's playing Graves, right? Where you're expecting he's going to chill in his jungle, he's going to farm, and then he's going to be more of a late game champion. Yeah. But due to the fact that MC wants to play more of the lethality Graves and be a little bit more impactful and bursty in the early to mid game scenario, I think he's done just that.
And he did manage to secure that Dragon's Wear, staving off Mount Soul Point. My only problem potentially is, though, that Riddle, there's been a few fights around these dragons now, aside from that initial fight around the Rift Herald, where they've not really managed to coordinate those ults in a way that's left them to a winning team fight. Even in that fight there, remember, they burnt the Call of the Forge God, they burnt the Curtain Call, I think they burnt Depth Charge as well, possibly. Catching out Tempt in the mid lane a minute or so before that dragon fight. So they were down those coming into this huge team fight.
There's a bunch of things that are going wrong there, right? Because you technically want to have a bunch of vision down in that river. There was not a lot of deep vision, even though there were 4v5. They didn't walk further in. And right now, of course, they have lost pretty much everyone except Kex on that Ornn. That was the consequences after that lost fight in the river that you just mentioned. The Baron is going to come back up, and X7 are going to be more than happy to take that. And remember, X7 have a bunch of push, using that on Jaeger, on a side lane, who's already pushing, by the way. He's already shoving the bot side of the map, and then using that with the other 4 members all together. That might be something that is going to be very crucial to even ending the game right here, because I don't think anyone can stop Jaeger. Like, he's being chased away, but then what?
Yeah, he gets chased away, but he's still got the tower. Kex.
15. Look at the rest. They're like 13, 12. Thank you very much for the replay right here. And again, Nukes gets caught. And he gets really low on HP. Now here, I see Riddle trying to do 2 things. MC is like, guys, burst the dragon, burst the dragon, burst the dragon. We need to stop the soul from going over to X7. And the other 4 members of Riddle are just not touching the dragon at all. They're just not helping it burn me too quickly. So for me there, for Riddle, it's just 2 voices speaking at once. One that says, turn and fight. And the other one from the jungle that says, guys, we need to take this dragon and take it fast. But no one actually responds to that. It ends up to Riddle being picked apart due to, like you mentioned, them missing on very key ultimates.
And the problem is, once X7 actually get on top of you, Slowq, Fadachan do not have a very easy time of disengaging from these people. You saw Slowq's like, well, we have no disengage ultimates. I Valkyried over the wall, and Jaeger just to come across the wall and decapitate him with the Darkian Blade. It does get hard if they have this kind of thing happen. The Shadow Surge only lands onto Nukes though, but Nata, excited, gets a massive chunk onto Slowq. A little bit of vengeance for all the other Corki games we've seen around the world where he gets to do that to everybody else. He has got the Ludens, he's got a stopwatch, but I just don't know whether he's going to have much room to stay alive here.
Look at that. Perfect rotations, a perfect coordination for the side of X7. They're pushing in 2 waves at once on mid lane and bot lane tower. No one can stand against Jaeger. He's 3 levels above his opponent top lane. He's 6 levels above the enemy support. This is nuts.
Nasty.
He can't even play the game.
It's just so much going on.
I mean, Nukes can't play the game. Well, Jaeger can't.
He certainly can. 5-1 and 5 on this Aatrox. After dying for first blood, he's definitely recovered just fine, I think it's fair to say. They've got 1 inhibitor, they've got another wave here to think about shoving in, but instead we'll see the resets. They're pretty happy to take their spoils, leave, and get all the gold they've gotten from those fights. And we're going to see now, of course, the slight reset coming in. Riddle need to shove out these waves, need to do something about the lines of vision that have taken control over their jungle. And Riddle are in a very difficult position. They've got to try and find a way to stabilize this game, but what do they do from being down a lot of gold, a lot of control, down this inhibitor? Yes, they've got scaling, but it's already proving pretty difficult.
Yeah, okay, let's look at the reality of things, right? They've got pretty hard scaling mid, they've got a pretty hard scaling jungler as well. AD and AP damage, very consistent damage being dished out, and having a lot of poke from the Corki, who's going full AP on this build, which means the Rockets are going to be really hurting. Now, the problem is that X7 still have the Baron, so they're going to make as much of it as possible, but that tier 2 has been haunting a lot of teams.
Oh, Haru's going in. That's a Shadow Surge as well, and Jinx deletes nukes. We've already said the HP was too low, too little experience. It's a double kill. MC's dead as well. 2 down at the moment. We asked, what can Riddle do? Not that.
I was about to say, you do not push out of your base. You try to defend as hard as possible inside your base, but right now they're just about to lose their second inhibitor. You've lost 2 members, including one of your hard carries in the likes of Graves, and can you actually defend? Because there's 2 waves pushing in.
You've got a package, you've got an Eye of Luden courtesy of Ornn, and you've got a Dream right now. Slowq needs to bind the mother of all ultimates, but he's just been knocked up and dead. A 3 Talon strike, and he's out of here. It's baseball reference. He's been knocked up and down, and maybe the turnaround could come through, but they just don't have enough. The Nexus exposed. Jaeger, too strong, too dangerous, too absolutely lethal. And I'm not talking about MC's attempts to kill everybody at the end there. A collateral damage is actually his own Nexus towers instead. Temps chunking out with the Mistral Bolt, and X7 just playing with their food around this fountain. They will surely be winning this game. Jaeger is godlike, ironic, taking down the Ornn. The Nexus is doomed. X7 moved to 9-1.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you AD Gwen.